Hello, welcome to Making Your Investment in Cleaning and Safety Pay Off. This is a seminar for our commercial operators that we've put together to hopefully put some pieces to your puzzle on getting a return on your investment with all the hard work that you're doing in the areas of cleanliness and sanitation. We're going to talk a little bit about those things and then go into some resources that will help you in those categories that are so important to your business. My name is Matt Benefiel. I work for InnoServ. InnoServ is a brand new strategic alliance company of Gordon Food Service that has been specifically built to increase the support and the resources that are out there for Gordon Food Service customers in the areas of beverage and chemical. You're probably familiar with those individuals who have been working in your businesses with your dish machine and your coffee maker and your juice machines historically that were employees of Gordon Food Service. Well, those individuals now work for InnoServ, and we are, as I said, increasing what we do to support restaurant owners, and mainly in the area of chemicals addressing those cleaning and sanitation pieces. And we'll be talking about that more today. Today, I'm with Nick Florick from Trust 20. I'm going to let Nick talk a little bit about himself at this point.
Thank you, Matt, and I'm very happy to be here. As Matt mentioned, my name is Nick Florick. I am the general manager of Trust 20. Trust 20 is a cleaning, health, and safety certification program for restaurant operators. We work very closely with the representatives at InnoServ to do our certification visits, and we'll go dive deeper into what that entails a little bit later towards the end of the presentation. I also wanted to introduce our guest contributors. So we have 3 individuals with us today to share their experiences working in restaurants and with restaurant products related to cleaning and safety. We have Matt Newman, who is the general manager of Papa's Pizza in Culver, Indiana. We have Martin Murch, who's the chef and managing member of Good Eats Group and has a number of different restaurant concepts in the Chicagoland area. And we have Tom Sicko, who is president of VLS, and GermSafe, which is an air filtration product that Martin has used in a number of his establishments. To learn a little bit more about our guest contributors, I do want to share some initial intro clips from them to introduce themselves and their businesses as well.
So thank you very much. Wonderful to be here today. Appreciate it. Good Eats Group. We are a chef-driven organization. Very proud. We just celebrated our 10th year, unfortunately, this past August. We're hoping to have a greater celebration than what we did, but Good Eats Group is a collaboration of our team, and through our global travels, we have been able to build restaurant concepts at a level that is premium quality products. We're the first burger restaurant to be minimum quality grade all prime across the portfolio. We have a Michelin recognized Sono wood-fired pizza, or excuse me, Sono wood-fired, which is our authentic wood-fired pizza, and premium high-end quality Florence and Tuscany style food. Social is just that. It's our global travels. We vary that menu quite often with different mix-up of cuisines, whether it's the African and Portuguese style that we've done, or if it's the Japanese and the Italian menu that we're working on now. But that's, Good Eats Group is all about guest experiential journey and creating memories of life for anybody and everybody.
I'm Tom Sicko. I'm with Vincent Lighting Systems. We're an entertainment construction lighting firm in Cleveland, Ohio. Our business has been severely impacted during the pandemic due to the loss of live event type business. So with the support of our manufacturers and partners, we've been able to pivot to offer various products, including UVC air filtration and temperature scanning systems. Our company works nationally, and through the development of our GermSafe brand, we gained national recognition as experts in lighting-based germ remediation.
My name is Matt Newman. My family owns Papa's Restaurant in Culver, Indiana. I am the 3rd generation that will one day fully take over along with my wife and my brother. We kind of started as a hole-in-the-wall pizza place back in the 70s and have grown into, kind of upscale casual steak, seafood, pizzas, delivery carry out was already a big part of our business. We kind of did, do a little bit of everything. we were on about a 7-year path of 10 to 20% growth every year before COVID hit. And we've taken a hit this year for sure. We feel like we're fortunate to be where we are. We don't have the some of the challenges that more urban setting restaurants do. Being a little small town, we've very much benefited from the community around us and their support. So we think once this is passed, we'll be positioned to continue our growth, maybe even ahead of what projections were, and the path we were on and what we were maybe projected to do.
So we know that the pandemic has impacted all of us. And there's two principal ways that we see this having impacted your business, the restaurant industry. Depending on where you're at in the country, you've definitely been influenced by this. The one way that we really see the impact hitting is with dining habits. The way that Americans are going about their dining is totally different than it was. And there's a lot of shifts that are there. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And then the second thing that we've seen is a big impact point is that their expectations about cleaning and safety have changed. The awareness that everyone has, from you in your business and with your employees to your neighbors down the street, everybody has a heightened awareness and expectations when it comes to cleanliness. Let's take a listen to two of our customers that were highlighted by Nick earlier in how these two changes are impacting their businesses, things that have been going on in the pandemic, and what they're doing in their organizations.
I just have a feeling they're going to be a lot like the previous 6 months of we're still going to be limited capacity. We're still going to be wearing masks. We're still going to have the plexiglass. There's still going to be a contingent of customers that are scared to come out, and the delivery carryout. So our business used to be delivery carryout was about a third of our overall sales, 20 to 30% on average. And that's almost flipped now, where it's sometimes 60 to 70% of our business. And, the dine-in is the smaller percentage. And I think that's going to continue to be a thing. We've seen people more willing to come out at times this winter. Like, it's kind of been an ebb and a flow. But we have a lot of regular customers that they will get a carryout, but they will not come sit down in our restaurant. But they applaud us for taking all the precautions and extra safety measures, but they still just aren't comfortable being around others. And I think the next 6 months will be a lot more of that, because the vaccine's going to take a while to be effective. And I think you could probably pick up from this. Our family kind of believes the science and listens to the doctors and the scientists. So their projections and what they're saying, we kind of feel that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, one of the things we looked at is we wanted to understand is what is the environment that we're potentially going to have to navigate. So we did some research back, and we went back 25 years to understand what are the relevant concerns that different viruses, whether it's Ebola, the avian flu, other coronaviruses, have on the marketplace. And what we identified is it typically is about a 10 to 12 month cycle to navigate through something like this. All of the other specific situations that address that are unique in the environment we are today is they were very regional. They did not become a global impact like the Corona-19 has done to us today. So as we looked through that, we focused on how do we structure the company to take care of our team and to be able to serve our guests in the safest environment possible. Unfortunately, the regulations closed us down, but our management team jumped in and said, you know what, we're going to make sure that we operate this. We're going to follow the game plan we put in place. And it starts with anything that walks through the door, comes through the door, and leaves the door. How do we make sure that we can help it be more safe, more sanitary? Our guest comes in, we encourage them to use the sanitation station. We do not allow guests to enter the restaurant for pickup or dining without a mask. We offer our guests gloves. We have sanitation wipes at every single station. So we do have outdoor dining today, and when a guest comes in and our hosts engage them and they take that journey to the table together, when our host gets to the table, they sanitize the table, they sanitize every chair. When the guest gets up, we sanitize the table, we sanitize every chair. When the next guest comes in, because there's a time frame, we sanitize the table, we sanitize every chair. So we've adopted that to every single touch point that there's a potential, and whether it's through lotions, whether it's through sprays, whether it's through wipes, whether it's through the constant cleaning, how we clean our hands, how we have to clean our hands before we put our gloves on. That all of those pieces is what we look at and put into a strategy, and it's helped us. Knock on wood, we are extremely proud and very, very honored. We have not had one case of COVID in our establishments with our team and or any of our guests.
All right, so that was a lot that both Martin and Matt shared as far as things that they've had to do differently within their businesses. Many of you have probably implemented similar changes that have been necessary because of the pandemic. So what does this mean for you? It does mean that it's going to be harder to bring some customers back, and they do have higher expectations of you now. I also wanted to share just a few quantitative statistics to support some of the things that Matt and Martin shared related to their businesses. Currently, we can see about 20% of all restaurant orders are now digital, which was up from 5% pre-COVID. The meal kit market is projected to have a market value now of $28.17 billion in 2024. That's up from $12.24 billion in 2019. So in a very short time period, it's going to more than double in market size. And then you'll see that restaurants that were frequent weekly lunch spots where people who worked in offices would typically go have had to find different outlets for customers and to sell things in different ways. So big chains like Panera, Chick-fil-A, and Shake Shack have entered this meal kit space and are providing different types of products to customers than they have in the past. Now, diner expectations about cleaning and safety have also changed, which Matt mentioned, and Martin and Matt Newman shared examples about. Statistically, according to a Technomic survey, 55% of diners now need to see more hand sanitizer in the restaurant to feel comfortable being there than they would have pre-pandemic. In the same survey, 56% of diners said how important it was to actually see staff doing cleaning of high-touch areas. So the actual physical indicators of seeing people clean tables has become a lot more important now than it was before. And 28% of the survey diners said their biggest concern right now about eating in a restaurant was really the other patrons and being near them, and some of the things that they couldn't control about being in close proximity to someone else's space that they might not have known or have interacted with before. So in addition to this quantitative information, one of our own research teams actually went out and did qualitative research with diners, so people dining in restaurants. And we heard a couple of different themes, and I just wanted to share a couple of quotes of some of those themes from what your diners are saying about making decisions to dine in or patron restaurants currently. So one diner in Grand Rapids, Michigan mentioned that she was eating in a restaurant and was concerned about a few things. People walking in were not offered masks or hand sanitizer by the staff, and that turned her off from dining in that establishment in the future. Another diner in Quincy, Massachusetts, he mentioned that at the restaurant he went to, the staff was very efficient in safety measures, and it was very noticeable how they were cleaning and what they were doing on all the services. And that actually led to a very comfortable and safe environment for him that he felt comfortable returning to and visiting in the future. And then we have a diner in Malibu, California, who went to a fast casual sandwich shop and said it was like madness. Everyone was wearing masks, but there were so many people shuffling around everywhere, it didn't make her feel comfortable because the physical distancing requirements really weren't followed in the way that they should be followed. It was a free-for-all, and she mentioned she's definitely not going back to this establishment until the pandemic is over. So these are kind of both quantitative and qualitative evidence, as well as some examples that we've shared about what you really need to be conscious of and how serious diners are taking the current situation. I do want to turn it back over to Matt now to talk a little bit more about some of the broad trends in money that we've seen people are investing to address the pandemic.
We talked at the beginning that this seminar is going to be about getting a return on your investment. And so here we are looking at some of those investments that are being made. Here's some data that's out there on the expenses that are facing restaurants around the country. You see roughly $800 from an HVAC system standpoint, over $4,000 from a patio standpoint. So many of you are getting extremely imaginative and creative in that space to build structures that can accommodate the regulations while at the same time doing wonderful jobs to serve your guests. And $4,000 is a number that's out there on that. $1,000 or more for the materials that go into the to-go business. And I know that your Gordon Food Service rep is working with you on those things and the portability process and how that is happening with you and how you're continuing to serve your patrons. That's a big expense. That's a part of the changes that have been going on because of the pandemic. So now that we've talked about these expenses, let's listen to Tom and Martin talk a little bit about these investments that they've made in their business and how it's coming to fruition in their relationship with their guests.
We were blessed. I started finding out some information about UVC technology. Ended up connecting with VLS, and I reached out, and Tom and I started having some dialogue. And Tom was really able to, Vincent, he had a plethora of information and research. He reached out, he studied some more of it. We actually came up with some really dynamic fixtures that were very aesthetically pleasing. We talked about building specific outdoor igloo environments, greenhouses, how we would have these portable units that would go into them. We looked at the UVC lighting technology. We migrated into really the biggest cause that everyone kept reporting on was the transmittal, right? And then masks came about. So we really pursued the air handling technology to identify that was the best solution. So in our restaurants today, and we have multiple restaurants, we've installed the UVC, the level UVC air handling technology, which is far superior. It's 5 times more efficient than any HVAC UVC handling technology, because HVAC has to have a fresh air intake. HVAC also has to have a certain amount of PSI airflow to push it through the filters. When you do it as an independent operation, you get the HVAC quality of air filtration. Then you get the quality of the UVC air handling technology that's killing the virus, the bacteria, the mold, and the fungi, which is the best solution in the marketplace. Tom really helped identify that, listen, the Food and Biological Institute of the Globe recommends this. The CDC has already recommended this. And we're blessed because we were the first restaurant company to adopt this anywhere. And we're very honored about that. And Tom really led us to be able to understand how to do that. So we are very complimentary and very honored that Vincent really helped us get there.
We looked at this, we studied the restaurants, we studied the layout of the restaurants, we looked at the airflow of the restaurants and where the air handlers were, to be able to identify where the positioning of the units would go to get the maximum efficacy. And we took into consideration aesthetics. We didn't want to put something somewhere where it would stand out. We wanted to make sure that it was high efficacy, but it would also blend into the overall look of the restaurant. We've added them in the kitchen in areas where, although they're not seen by the general public, they're out of the way and they're also easy to access for periodic maintenance. So we did a very personalized look at each one of these restaurants, and we're able to match up the right products with the needs of the age group.
What we're really excited about is in our one location of Social and Cafe Press, we actually put in 3 units. And when you look at it's doing just under 4,200 square feet an hour, the air quality processing in Social is every 22 minutes. So every 22 minutes, we're cleaning the air of virus, bacteria, mold, and fungi. At our burger bar in Chicago in the South Loop, it's every 27 minutes. And what's really exciting is working with Tom and the team during the installation, we actually have them right in the center as a showcase so that we can actually engage the guests and share with them our focus on their safety when they're visiting with us and they want to be able to celebrate and have a good time in the existing environment, how safe they are.
So now that we've talked about the investments that you're making in addressing these changes, and we've heard from some customers on the things that they're doing, let's talk about the title of this seminar again and begin to look at the return on the investment. We want to give 3 key recommendations that we would present that we think will help you amidst these changes. The first is refresh, and that is moving ahead, but taking a new look at what's going on. The second is train, and that involves your team and a reinvigoration of your connection with them, that they are on board with these things. And then the third piece that we'll talk about is communication and what things are going on in order to make sure that these investments you're making that are addressing these changes in consumer trends, that those things are bringing about tangible, profitable returns for you. This is information that we think is going to be important, not just now while we're in this pandemic, but these are hopefully recommendations that we make that will be beneficial for you as we come out of the pandemic situation.
Thank you, Matt. So let's dive deeper into each of the recommendations that Matt just mentioned. So the first one is refresh. And this is really updating yourself on what matters both now and what's going to continue to matter post-pandemic. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you're up to date on your local regulations and the guidance applicable to your specific location. As you've all probably experienced, this can change frequently, and your guests will have different expectations as time goes on. So you really want to make sure you know what the rules are, what actually you have to do to meet guidance and regulations, and to meet your guests' expectations. The second, and this is going to help you in the long run, is to really identify a common standard that's going to be broadly applicable, that you believe is going to help you meet those changing regulations so you don't have to consistently ping pong and make changes in the future, but will allow you enough of a base that you can build upon in small increments or roll back small things that's going to make it easy on your operation. You also want to do this to tell your customers that you're setting a high bar and you have a health, safety, and cleanliness of your establishment in the forefront of your mind for both your employees and your guests. And the last thing, and this will be covered kind of in the first two, but we do want to emphasize this specifically, is really just doubling down on fundamentals, because fundamentals are going to be important no matter what. This includes making sure that everybody is up to date on their food handler certifications, their food manager certifications, and that they know the basics of cleaning and safety, including sanitizing versus disinfecting, and really how to wash their hands and maintain a clean and healthy environment. So an example that we have with the Trust 20 program is we provide very specific guidance on fundamentals like hand washing, which are handouts that you can print, post in a bathroom, and hand out to your employees to make sure they're constantly reminded of the specific steps and things that they should be doing on a daily basis, no matter what. Now let's go back to our guests and hear from Martin and Matt about how they refresh themselves and how they stay up to date on what they should be doing as restaurant operators.
You know, from Good Eats Group, the first thing that we did is, as we looked to embrace the challenges that were presented, we had a moniker of safety, safety, and safety. And the first thing we did is we looked at everything that was being socialized, how we should adopt different practices or sanitation or masks or gloves or anything of the sort. And we've always had high ratings and so forth for our sanitation and our food service handling practices. And when we got that list, we went through it all and we just said, doesn't matter what's recommended, doesn't matter what potentially is easy, we're just going to do it all. And that was our first approach. We always wanted to make sure that we could keep the safety of our team members and our guests at the forefront of all of our decisions. Through that process, we were very, very blessed. We actually started doing some research. We identified what's considered UVC technology. We did a tremendous amount of research. We started back in really May, going down this path, researching where is UVC technology adopted. We identified that it's in hospitals, commercial aircraft, Pfizer's, AstraZeneca, and we continued down that path and we got connected with Vincent Lighting. And Vincent Lighting actually has GermSafe, which is their UVC air handling equipment. It's all self-contained, and it kills virus, bacteria, mold, and fungi, not only now, but into perpetuity. The second piece is when we went down that path, is we were able to engage some very significant organizations like Trust 20. We had Trust 20 come in, we had ServSafe come in, we had OSHA come in, we had the National Restaurant Association audit team come in, the IRA. You know, everyone came in and audited us to make sure that we were applying the best practices possible. And we've scored an absolute off the chart 100% on everything that we touch. We're very excited about that. All of our we created sanitation stations for the guests and for the team. We did team member tracking. Every guest that's in the restaurant, a minimum, has a 6-glove change by all of our team that touches that guest. So we just adopted everything. We're operating at a premium level, and without question, I think we are identifying what's appropriate in the marketplace for anyone.
We're a small staff with the family. The family and our other employees, we've probably only got 20, 25 employees on average. So it's just constant communication with them, and letting them know, like, okay, this is this is how you sanitize something, this is how you disinfect something, and just really being thorough and not taking for granted that our staff already knows these things that I think we kind of did before, because it's like, oh, we're here, we're watching, they'll be fine. They know this, where it's just taking that step back and methodically going through, this is how this needs done, from wiping a table down to how to store things, just top to bottom, kind of just all of our procedures through the restaurant, and also taking a step back and taking a look at, okay, what's really necessary? Where can we cut some fat? Where can we run a little more streamlined, whether that's the menu or the delivery area we're covering, some of those things, and then out front, talking to the servers and getting more feedback from them too, of what makes them comfortable and uncomfortable with guests, because we're essential. So there's a deadly pandemic going on, and these people are standing 2 feet from the table trying to take an order with a mask on, and but the customer doesn't have a mask sitting at a table, so we put different like plexiglass dividers up, and really had spent money that I never thought we'd have to spend on things, like plexiglass and the PPE stuff, and just investing in these areas, and and then for resources, Gordon's has been fantastic. Our chemical beverage person, Josh, has been a great resource of, hey, Josh, when this first started, it's like, hey, do I have the right sanitizer and chemicals to do what they say we need right now? And he helped me make some adjustments and make sure we had the right things there. And same with the sales rep, Joseph. He's been great, asking anything we need and looking out for us. And that's how we found out about Trust 20. Was
the second recommendation that we want to cover today relates to train. This is really valuable because this is your team. This is your family at your restaurant that is that public face, and they are the ones that are carrying the message for your brand. Educating your staff so that changes that we've talked about are implemented, and to Nick's point, are carried on into a continuance, and that it gets to be a regular cadence with your business is really important. There's 3 features here we want to talk about. First is you need to develop and select a standard approach that you can easily repeat. The second thing is that you need to deliver hands-on and accessible manner so that your staff will retain that training. That's something that is really important when you have a mentor or a guide within your business, that you can utilize that individual to kind of be a quarterback with your staff, to be that trainer in these safety pieces and these cleaning pieces, so that you can get that training stuck in people's heads. And the third thing is to validate implementation and provide support resources for reminders and refreshers. This is something that with, again, repetition and bringing that out in front of employees and those members of your team, letting them know that this is important to your organization, this is really going to help you in that training capacity. Here's another example of a resource from Trust 20 that fits in that train space. They provide resources like this one indicated here on sanitizing surfaces, which there's a lot of information out there about sanitizing and disinfecting, and they give some clarity with that here. This is just an example, just like the hand washing piece, of pieces that you can get through the certification program with Trust 20. But these are resources in that train space that you can use to consistently keep messages in front of your employees. Let's listen to Martin as he shares a little bit about how they do that training piece with their team.
So all of our team at the point of inception go through training. And the nice part about the training is we walk everybody through, we explain everything, we do it with them. The team is supporting them. The team will be like, you got to wash your hands. That wasn't quite long enough. Make sure you go wash your hands right. So everybody's in it because they realize that we are, right, that memory for the guest. And if we create this environment, somebody gets sick, that memory is going to be horrible. If we create an environment and they're safe and they enjoy it, that memory is going to be amazing and it's going to bring it back to us. So in our guest experiential journey focus of creating memories of life, the entire team is committed to it. The other piece is we've actually written a test against the sanitation practices and procedures we have in hand. And we draw from multiple sources. Part of the questions are from Trust 20. The audit that we have from Trust 20 is on that test. So we're committed now. It's part of our training. It'll be part of our training as we continue to have greater opportunity to open up and get back to some type of operation where the guests can enjoy the connectivity.
And the last thing that we want to share is really the importance of communicating what you've done to your diners. So you've invested a lot in making changes at your restaurant. You've refreshed yourself on what you need to be doing, and you spent a lot of time and energy into training your staff. Without communicating to your diners and them understanding everything that you've done, it could be wasted effort. So as the title of this presentation is, we want to make sure that everything you're doing is leading to an increased ROI and leading to diners visiting your space and purchasing your food from your restaurant. So to communicate, there's three key things that we want to emphasize. The first, which we've mentioned before, is really the importance of following a common standard. This helps both save you time and energy because you don't have to communicate all the details of everything that you're doing on a daily basis. You can point your diners to another resource, and it establishes credibility that another organization and standard is something that you're following. The second is to have a reputable party validate your process. And this is important to instill confidence in diners that somebody has checked what you're doing and you're not just saying you're doing something without having it being double checked. Now, the third piece is really then communicating directly, clearly, concisely with diners in channels, in places that they're reading and they're digesting information. So this includes both in-person signage, communicating on digital channels like email and social media, and on your website, which is a place that your diners are going to go to visit and order food from you for takeout or pickup. So the last example we have from the Trust 20 program, and it's really the reason why Trust 20 exists, is to really help with this communication piece. Trust 20 is there to be the standard, to have somebody that comes and validates the practices that you're putting in place, and to support you with communicating to your diners everything that you're doing. So there's a robust set of resources at trust20.co that you can point diners to that you don't have to do the work communicating and explaining everything that you're doing to make sure that they have a safe, clean, and healthy environment to visit. Trust 20 will also provide you with a range of social media assets so you don't have to create these yourself, that are prepackaged things that explain the tactics that you're following and the standards that you're following by being part of Trust 20 to your diners. You can plug and play by using these on your social media channels and also on email. So one of the things that's been mentioned as part of communicating to your guests is the visual cues that you have to show them what you're doing. Let's go back to Martin and Matt again to learn about some of the things that they're doing very specifically within their spaces to indicate to their guests the practices that they put in place.
Yeah, we actually have two. ABC News here in Chicago, ABC News 7 did two pieces on this. And they came through, they interviewed, they spoke with Tom, they videoed the technology, they videoed the units, and they pushed it out as a showcase on how to make sure that if you want to operate at the highest level possible, that's creating a sanitary and safe environment, this would be an avenue to pursue. We also have it showcased. We have a couple of different partners as well that have done that. The Near South Planning Board here in Chicago has done that. Choose Chicago has been through and visited. We've had some dialogue with the NRA and the IRA about it. So yes, it is getting out there. We just don't have a broad scope marketing. We've also integrated into our website. And as the guest enters all of our establishments, they get to see a couple of things. Actually, right next to Trust 20, we have a logo on all of our both our locations. So for the Trust 20, right next to it is the Germ Safe logo. So we also have received other, ServSafe has it up there. The city of Chicago issued us a certificate as well based on that. Our sanitation practice that we showcase as well. We walk the guests right by the air handler. We walk the guests right to the sanitation station. We walk the guests and let them know, and we see that they see all the things that we're doing for safety, and it's critical. This isn't going to go away. The one thing that this has done, unfortunately, other than compromise its small independent business operators, the one piece that this has done that's very positive, it's really heightened the level of operations that all operators perform. So even some of the lower hanging fruit, you integrate these pieces, you stay committed to it, you are absolutely creating a better environment.
The two main things is we are very strict with the mask enforcement. My wife is she's a small woman, but she's tough, and she keeps the door, and if you walk in without a mask on, you are not getting past her. And she'll give you one to put on, but you are putting that mask on if you're coming into the building. And that's the family, she's the face of it, but that's just how we feel as a family. So we're very strict enforcing the mask. We right away, we've got one of my best friends is a carpenter, and we had him frame out these plexiglass dividers that we put in between each booth and in between tables where we could. So even if there's not necessarily 6 feet between person A and person B, there's this, divider between them that we've had customers actually tell us we should leave up after this because they like the added privacy it gives them. Those are kind of the two main things. And then they just know we're well known. We have a very good reputation in our area being a very clean restaurant. Anybody that comes into our kitchen, we get a lot of compliments on how clean our kitchen is. So I think people already kind of knew we take cleanliness really serious. And then these other couple important things on top of it, more COVID related, gives them comfort that we're at least trying everything we can to be safe.
So now that we've talked about this really important communication piece, let's look at how this is impacting you and what are the strategies that you are putting in place at your organization and where you want to land in there. On this slide, you're looking at 3 options. The first is to do it yourself, and that is what a lot of independent operators across the country are doing. That's easy to customize because you're in charge. The cost depends on what you want it to be, but it can be very little because it's just you handling everything. There are some cons with that, in that you have to do it. You're the one that's responsible for those things. And you may not have all the knowledge to keep up with all of the things that are involved with the regulations and the changes that are in the industry. The second option is using standard resources, leveraging some of those things that are out there. That's great in that it also doesn't require a lot of time. You do get a hold of expert-driven content, things that you can use from that outside party. But then on the con side there, it's not fully customized to your situation. It's sort of a boxed program. and that there is obviously a little bit of cost that's associated with those things. And then the third option that you can be considering as you're thinking about communication, training, and how this fits within your business is a full-on consultation program. And this is something that can come to you that doesn't require a lot of your time because it's an outside party. You have experts that are aware of all those regulations and things that are involved, and it can be customized strictly to your business. And then that's also going to be where the highest cost is involved in engaging that resource. So you have the opportunity to look at this setup and think about it from the standpoint of your business. Obviously, we've talked today about where Trust 20 fits in this mix. So as we've highlighted these three options for you, this is the space where we talk about Trust 20. And again, looking at how can you get a return on your investment of all the things you're putting forth in order to get more patrons into your business. Trust 20 is a fantastic option for that. As you look at these options and you look at the pros and cons, they're a great option to think about with the balance that's in the mix here. And Nick, I'll let you talk a little bit more about Trust 20 at this time.
Thanks, Matt. So let me tell you a little bit more about Trust 20, which we've mentioned already a couple times during this presentation. So Trust 20 is a certification program built on 20 tactics that were developed with health and safety experts and guidance from the CDC, federal, state, and local regulations. Getting your restaurant Trust 20 certified is pretty easy. All you have to do is have your practices independently validated by a third-party resource. This is where we work very closely with InnoServ. It's the InnoServ representative who has deep knowledge and expertise in cleaning, health, and safety, who does our validations. They're there to also consult you on your practices, so if you have any questions specific to health, cleaning, or safety, they can provide guidance and resources during the visit. Trust 20, in addition to a certification, also has a number of additional resources that you can view at trust20.co, including accredited training resources you can provide to your staff to help them in this area. Now I'll turn it back to Matt. Matt, tell us a little bit more about InnoServ.
Yeah, you highlighted really well there how we work together with Trust 20. Trust 20 and these kind of resources are great examples of how we want to do more to help Gordon Food Service customers in this very important window of time. There's a service manager in each one of our divisions who has that accreditation that you were talking about, Nick, and is at your disposal to help you if you want to get a look at Trust 20 and how this can help your business. That's something that, again, relates to the relationship that Gordon Food Service, your CDS, and your new team at InnoServ want to have with your business. It's very important to us that we are a help during these times. And so please take a look at innoserv.com, the website for our new organization, and you'll be able to see some of the other things that we can do to help you get a good return on your investment and make safety and cleanliness pay off.
And now we'll go back to our customer guests, Martin and Matt, to share more specifically about their experience with the Trust 20 program.
The scrutiny that a Trust 20 goes through on an audit, I mean, it's phenomenal. And all operators, anybody, it doesn't matter how long you've been doing this, it doesn't matter how high of a quality of establishment you're operating, the learnings, the attention to detail, and the commitment that you can get from having an audit from Trust 20 or any of these organizations it's spectacular. It's like that secret shopper that you'd love to have that's really focused on what's important for safety.
I mean, it's a lot of likes, but then you get the comments of, thanks for taking the extra step to keep the community safe, and thanks for doing your part, and good for you for bringing somebody else in to verify, stuff like that. That it is very positive, seeing that we're, using an outside source like that. I think that our staff, we've only lost 2 employees from the start of this due to COVID, the other restaurant related in and out. But we had 2, and they're older. One was a server that just didn't feel comfortable, didn't want to wear the mask, didn't want to do it. She stepped away. And the other was she's in an at-risk category. She's got some underlying issues, and she still wants to come back, but not until this is over. So we've been able to keep the majority of our staff, and we think that stuff like Trust 20 has helped, that they see we're taking these steps to not only keep the customers safe, but we're going to try to keep our employees safe. And, like, take these added steps because I don't want to get sick, and I don't want any of them to get sick. And if one of them gets sick, I'm more likely to get sick. Like, we're all in it together.
Yeah.
Like,
So we've reached the end. Thank you all for joining us for this seminar today. Both Matt and myself have put our contact information and websites on the screen. Feel free to email either of us with additional questions that you might have. And if you have questions about the GermSafe product that Tom and Martin mentioned earlier, we're happy to get you connected with them. As we leave, we've asked our guests to record a message for their fellow operators. We're going to leave you with those messages as we close out this seminar, and we wish you all a wonderful spring and look forward to a great summer. Thank you.
Thank you.
First and foremost, we are privileged, and it is an honor to be able to serve humanity. That is what we do. That is our business. We are in serving humanity. I would integrate as well. By doing so, you do have the opportunity of creating memories of life for anybody. Whether it's your team member next to you, being able to work collectively, being able to create amazing food or amazing experience or beverages. Stay focused on it. That's what we do. And don't ever diminish your quality expectations and standards. There are some people that believe that doing something maybe a little easier is easier. Doing something and you put your heart in it and you committed to always doing the best that you can do based on whatever you can do. Always perform at your best, and you'll have much more gratification of your life's journey. And you'll be much more satisfied. And then the other thing is in that is we do have it is a burden, but it's a beautiful burden that we do champion the safety of the society and the neighborhoods and the cities, the state, wherever we operate. We are responsible for the safety of those that are within it. So food safety, sanitation safety, engage Trust 20. They're an amazing resource. They're a tremendous audit. They're a great partner. Gordon is an amazing partner, and they're in it for the journey with you. They may identify things that you may not like, but they're there for a solution to help address it, whether it's an operational piece or it's a product piece. They can be part of that. Take the Trust 20, take the audit, implement the audit, put in the germ-safe air handling units, and you're supersonic above most people that are operating in any business sector. This truly is any business sector. Whether you're a nail salon, you're a gym, you're a lawyer's office, whatever. This application, right, applies to everything. Trust 20 has food service piece, but it also has general public cleanliness, sanitation practices that apply across the board. Every business, the air handling, the germ safe, the level air handling units, that's a clean environment every day for every business.
My family's been in business with Gordon's, I think, for 30 some years. Most of the 40 some we've been in existence. I know Gordon's has been a partner to us, and we were always a little hesitant to use some of these things that Gordon partnered, other outside partners of Gordon's, like and maybe not outside, but the Trust 20s and certain other aspects of what Gordon's offers. We were always hesitant, and the last couple years, even before this, but especially with this, we've relied on, Gordon's has been a big help to us and helping us identify, like I said, we pivoted to some of these things pretty quick, but Josh and Joseph were huge parts of, I had questions, and if they didn't have the answer, they could find it. And, a lot of times we're a small town, we're a little isolated here, that I don't always know who to ask or where to find certain information. And Gordon's has been a big help, and that's been a little eye-opening for me, being a little resistant to necessarily taking that help in the past. Distrust, or I don't know, just always like, what are you trying to sell me? As
Yeah.
you said earlier,
Yeah.
we've kind of gotten past that a little bit, and it's been very beneficial. And I think Trust 20 and these practices are gonna help, reinforce the community's belief in us, and it helps reinforce our belief in Gordon's as somebody who is kind of looking out for our best interest, as well as, it's a business and there's money to be made, but there's a way to do it that is mutually beneficial. So
I think that's one of the challenges we as a society have to make is as we come out of the pandemic, what have we learned? And a lot of the stuff that we're talking about here is hopefully lessons learned for moving forward and just having a healthier environment for all of us on the planet.